Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your sincere association. I was just thinking, this Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura's, in Srimad Bhagavatam, when Sri Shaunaka Rishi invites Suta Goswami, when Suta Goswami starts to speak, he addresses, he invokes, pranam mantra to Sukadev Goswami. And when Vyasadeva, when he invites Narada Muni, when he was morose and Narada Muni comes there, when he invites Narada Muni, he also invokes prayer of Guru Tattva. And if you recall, there is the sloka compares Sri Suta Goswami says, Sukadeva Goswami is my Sri Guru, and Sri Guru Tattva is actually, the Tattva is from Paramatma, who is present in the heart of every living entity. So he's just by doing the pranam mantra, all these souls, they're just opening the channel of mercy. So the realized knowledge and whatever and all the spiritual rasas that are present may flow within their heart. Tene Brahma Hridaye Muhyanti Suraya. So Bhakti is about imparting the realizations into the heart, not just informing to our intellectual chamber and filling it, but imparting to our heart. So like that, this Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya is our opportunity. As Suta Goswami had, as Vyasadeva had, we have this opportunity to invoke the mercy of Sri Guru Tattva. And please see, the mood of that Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya is simply dainya. And that is the first, after the first verse comes the second verse of Sri Sikshashtakam, full of dainya. So when Guru Tattva is addressed and the mercy is invoked, in that dainya, with the lyrics and with the feelings that are presented by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, then that state is called snigdasya. You remember the qualities of a Bhagavata speaker? Amongst all of them, Shaunaka Rishi says, O Sutta Goswami, you are snigdasya. You are very much malleable to the will of Guru and Krishna, Sri Guru and Krishna. You are like a begging bowl. That's why you are more qualified to give us this message. Adhyatmika, not only Vidya, but Adhyatmika Katha. So that snigdasya is all present in this song, Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya. So within that 2 to 5 minutes of time, if we are imbibing the mood of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, then we are cultivating the mood of that snigdasya. So all those changes that we are trying to bring within us by hearing so much of Shastra from so many sources, and all the japa that we are trying to chant to bring that change within us, is easily invoked by the words of these acharyas, because they are full of those transcendental mellows of Sharanagati. Yeah. All these acharya vakyas are like that. That's about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura's Vani, Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya. So we will now come to this Bhakti Ratnakara. Okay, so I'm going to open the PDF. So we can start Shri Bhakti Ratnakara. Yes, please. Are you able to see it? Not yet?
Not yet, Mataji.
Bhakti Ratnakara. Yes, please. So, Sri Raghav Pandita is taking Srila Narottama Das Thakura and Srinivasa Acharya to Dham Parikrama. And there was some, the glories of Dham were described by Raghav Pandita. And we discussed about the Dhama Tattva and Nama Tattva. You know, Dhama Tattva, Nama Tattva, they are very similar. As Hare Krishna Mahamantra is just a mere sound for those people who do not know how to recite or how to serve the holy name. Very similar Dhamma is like that. For those who do not know the glories of Dhamma, it is just a tourist site which is not very clean and maybe not very comfortable, like that. Same as Harinam. But when Dham is looked with the eyes of the Acharya, with the glasses given by Acharya, then Dham is revealed. Like when Nam is chanted as served by the instructions of Acharya, then we will have the realizations in Nama, and that is called revelation in Nama. That's not a word anymore for us, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There is something, there is someone. That realization will be given. In the same way, Dhamma is also like that. It's not like any other place. Yes, pastimes are happening, but it is not revealed to anybody. But if you are seeing the place with whatever we have heard from the pure devotees, and when our heart is purified enough, chitta is purified enough, then when all the cloudiness is gone, the pastimes that are present at anywhere, in any Vrindavan, Bhauma Vrindavan of any material universe, the pastimes are happening anywhere. It's just the matter of curtain between our eyes and the pastimes. But when our consciousness is cleared, then the curtain is being lifted. So same as when we go for Dham Parikrama, without proper purification in the heart, through Harinam and through hearing from pure devotees, we would just see it as a tourist place. There is nothing happening inside. We just go and come. But when there is proper purification through Krishna Katha and Krishna Nama as given by pure devotees, the same person, the same us, we will have some realization, some experience, very substantial. When we do Dham Parikrama? It is because all the layers of the curtain, they are lifted up, so we can feel the potency of the Dhamma. And even more pure devotees, not only feeling, but they could actually see. So it's just a matter of the dirt that is present between us and Dhamma, us and Nama. But and how is all that dirt taken away or the curtain lifted? Through the potency of the Nama and Krishna Katha, especially. The dirt is cleansed. Harinam is there, Dham is there. But how does it cleanse? How do we get cleansed? When we serve Dhamma, when we serve Nama, as given by the instruction by Shuddha Bhakta, then the cleansing will be significant. Then whatever is said in Shastra regarding Nama and Dhamma, all the glorifications, we will come to know, yeah, this is true. So that curtain or the dirt is It's otherwise called as Mahamaya, the modes put together. So transcendental substance, transcendental experience that is in the Nama, that is in the Dhamma, is not limited by physical, place, barriers, time, is limited only by our unwanted things because of the modes which is called as Maya. But this is all easily dissipated, cleansed away by Nama and by Krishna Katha as given by Shuddha Bhaktas who carry Govinda in their heart. And that's why we hear from the Acharyas. Okay. So we have heard about the Dham Mahatmya and the physical location and parameters of Madhurapuri. And after that, we have started hearing about Gauranga. When he came to Vrindavan Dham, he had these pastimes in the first place was, what is that? Brahmana. Sanoshiya Brahmana. There, Lord Chaitanya came there. And just by hearing that Lord Chaitanya came there and had it and displayed his pastimes there, did his Sankirtan, and how everybody else who came there, they cried as they realized Mahaprabhu was Brajendranandana himself. And we also discussed how this crying here, even by ordinary people, and look at Srinivasacharya and Narottama, they were just dancing and intoxicated. And again, Narottama and Srinivasa cried in ecstasy. Everywhere, cry. We would think, what is this? We would just easily, comfortably just dismiss this and move on. But they are in this state of consciousness. We are in Anartha Nivritti. They are past Asakti and Bhava. And they're fully filled with spiritual emotions inside, which flow as constant service outside. So that is their natural state of being. So this is when we discussed about Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, how in Ashtanga Yoga it is so hard to get there. But in Bhakti Yoga, it is just so natural for all these devotees to be in this Dhyana state at all times. And then we heard about Sri Advaitacharya. And here we heard about the Vaishnava Tattva. Here Advaitacharya was not happy to hear some Vaishnava not speaking good, speaking harshly about another Vaishnava. Just with that, Sri Advaitacharya was furious. So, Vaishnava Aparadha, not only speaking harshly about someone, if we are serious about our spiritual health, we want to be really vigilant about our thoughts also. And see that they are not really ill about any Vaishnava. But how can that happen? It's not easy, especially in this Kali Yuga. How can that happen that we don't really like to think any ill of Vaishnava too? When we know the Vaishnava Tattva, then it will be easier for us to understand the truth, and we will be more willing to be aligned with the truth. And that truth is Vaishnava Tattva. And Vaishnava Tattva is, in simple words, according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all the Vaishnavas are paraphernalia for Lord Krishna's worship. It means all the Vaishnavas are our object of respect and service. And Sri Premananda Thakur says, not only the object of respect and service, all Gaura Bhaktas are actually object of my affection too. But that is a beautiful state. Beautiful state. So that is what we heard from the Acharyas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, all the Vaishnavas are Lord Krishna's paraphernalia meant for his pleasure to be respected and served. Srila Premananda Thakur says, all the worshippers of Gaura are my object of affection. So we have done till there. And then Sri Advaita Acharya, he revealed his four-handed form to the Brahmana, and the Brahmana, he was transformed. He cried helplessly, he begged forgiveness, and then he really served the Vaishnavas with his heart. And there Advaita Acharya was giving this instruction that one should admit that one should feel guilty, that in the sense we should acknowledge that we are not thinking, speaking, or treating the Vaishnavas as they deserve because they are Krishna's paraphernalia. We want to think and feel like that first. And then he says, second one is give up all pleasures. Give up the pleasure of being a controller, being an enjoyer, being a proprietor of somebody. Those are all the roots of all these pleasures. So give up those. And then engage yourself in Nama Sankirtan, Nam Bhajan. So with this vision that Vaishnavas are paraphernalia of Krishna's worship, and with the tendency of not having this enjoyer, controller, proprietor tendency. So with the tendency devoid of enjoyment, proprietorship, and controller, and with the engagement of Nama Sankirtana, these three things, just serve all the Vaishnavas. Those are the instructions from Advaita Acharya. So after advising the Brahmana, Advaita Acharya left on pilgrimage. Okay, and somebody please, you may start from here. O Srinivasa.
O Srinivasa, see how beautiful situated this place is. The glories of a bath at this half-moon-shaped section of the Yamuna are well known. In the Adivaraha Purana, this area is glorified in these words. Those who live in this half-moon-shaped place undoubtedly attain liberation. One who controls his eating and baths here achieves the imperishable abode. Of this there is no doubt, Hey Devi. Those who leave their body at this crescent moon-shaped region reach my abode, Vaikuntha. Those who take bath or perform other pious activities here, even if they die at another place without proper funeral ceremony, still they are eligible for liberation. One who dies here, although sinful, is worshipable in Brahmaloka for as long as his bones remain at this place. After narrating these descriptions, Raghava held Srinivasa's hand and with a blissful heart slowly began speaking again. Within Madhuvana, Madhura is gloriously situated. By performing parikrama at special times, one achieves extraordinary fruits.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Somebody else, please take it.
Again, in the Adivaraha Purana, it is stated, if the killer of a Brahmana, a drunkard, a killer of cows, or any person who violates Brahmacharya, circumambulates Mathura, he will be freed from the results of his sins. A pilgrim who comes from a far away country and circumambulates Mathura purifies whoever sees him and relieves them of their sins. This is the room of Devaki and Vasudeva, where Krishna, the Supreme Lord, took his birth. According to the Skanda Purana, a person who fasts, chants japa, and then takes darshana of this birthplace of Krishna is freed from all sins and is liberated. Also in the Padma Purana, it is stated that anyone who once enters the Janma Griha, birthplace of Keshava, during the month of Kartika achieves the eternal absolute truth, Sri Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. So far, as described, again, the same thing. The significance of Dhamma is being explained here. even for those who has material desires, or for those who are simply being respectful to Dham. They're not, though they are not super devotional, they are, as long as they're just being respectful, then they attain, you see, Vaikuntha. Because Vaikuntha is a place of liberation. As we discussed in the past, liberation is in 5 forms. Same as Namabhasa. If there is Dhamabhasa like this, even if there is not much of devotion, but if there are no aparadhas being performed for Dhamma, when there is no Dhamma aparadha, then when they leave the body, they attain liberation. So that liberation, as we discussed, can be 5 ways, right? So they can go to one of those destinations in liberation. That's for Dhamabhasa. And and now Raghav Pandita is showing the places one after the other. First one is Janmagriha of Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, and now please go ahead.
Srinivasa, look at Keshava Deva. In this place, Sri Chaitanya once danced in ecstasy. Those who saw him dance thought that he was Sri Keshava Raya himself. Who can describe Keshava Deva's glories? Whoever circumambulates Keshava in Mathura attains the virtue of circumambulating the earth with its 7 islands. Singing Keshava Raya glories will destroy sins committed in this age and in age to come.
Yeah, here Keshava is actually Lord Krishna. Keshava, Janmagriha, birthplace of Keshava. Okay, yeah, please continue.
In the Adi Varaha Purana, it is stated, look at beautiful Mathura, where the deities of Dirgha Vishnu, Padmanabha, and Swayam Bhuva are situated. The darshana of these deities fulfill the desires of all mankind. O Srinivasa, taking darshana of the relatives of Krishna, such as Ekanama Shadevi, Yogamaya, Yashoda Devi, Deva Devi, and Maha Videshavari, can save a person from the sins of killing a Brahmana. This is described in Adi Vara Purana. In Mathura lives the supremely merciful deity of Bhuteshwara. Taking darshana of Shri Kshetrapala Mahadeva will help one reach the abode of Krishna. In Adi Parva Purana, Lord Vara says, Lord Bhuteshwara, who grants liberation even to the sinful, resides in Mathura. He is very dear to me. If anyone does not care for the worship of Shiva, my topmost devotee, how can that sinner attain the devotion to me? Only those who are the lowest of men and whose intelligence is bewildered will not offer obeisances and remember Bhuteshwara.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. So here, since the Yatra, Dham Yatra is starting now, there Raghav Pandita is taking Sri Narottama and Srinivasacharya to all these places one after the other. One first the Janmagriha, and then to the deities, to all these deities here. Swayambhu Mano, that deity too. So maybe that deity was present at their time. Not sure if these deities are there now. And so after speaking about these deities comes, he speaks about Lord Shiva, Bhuteshwara. He's Kshetrapalaka Mahadeva. Lord Shiva, in the eternal world, in spiritual world, he's Sadashiva, eternally present. And during the beginning of the creation, then he would be Shambhu, interacting with Pradhana. So in that Shiva Tattva, he is not Jiva Tattva. Not Shiva Tattva, not Vishnu Tattva, but Shiva Tattva. Very special one. And not simply a demigod, he's more than that. And the significance of Lord Shiva is he is the master of ego. In the sense, if we want to get rid of this false ego, this that I am independent of Krishna, that is false ego. I am dependent on Krishna, I belong to Krishna is real ego. So in order to only when start thinking that I belong to Krishna, not just thinking, but when we realize that we are actually dependent on Krishna, that's when the spiritual journey starts. So that is the significance of Lord Shiva. This is why we first take permission of Bhuteshwara Mahadeva, Kshetra Palaka. He's a Kshetra Palaka. The Madhura Kshetra is a spiritual abode. And in its spirituality, there is no ahamkara. It is all devoid of false ego. There is only true ego, that I belong to Krishna, Krishna belongs to me. That is true ego. That is the mood of Kshetra. So that mood of Kshetra should be protected. Lord Shiva, he has to permit us to get rid of our false ego, that we are not dependent on Krishna. With his blessings, when we get rid of that sense that we are not dependent on Krishna, then we will be entering into the Kshetra, where the mood is, I belong to Krishna. So Lord Shiva is the one, Bhuteshwara Mahadeva is the one that blesses us, that helps us to place ourselves in true ego, belonging to Krishna. Without this first step happening, there is no start of the spiritual journey. And that's why it is said here, if anyone does not care for the worship of Shiva, my topmost devotee, how can that sinner attain devotion to me? So devotion to Lord Hari begins after we realize that we are dependent on him, that we belong to him. And that is blessed by Lord Shiva. And that is why it is said like this. Okay, so we will pause here. So we have discussed about, we have went through all the summary of whatever we have discussed so far, including Gauranga's pastimes and the stage of absorption, which is dhyana, which is very common in Bhakti and very hard to achieve in Ashtanga Yoga. And then we heard about Sri Advaita Acharya's Vaishnava Tattva and the three things that he instructed us to make sure that we follow Vaishnava Tattva. One is to understand, to acknowledge that we are not treating the Vaishnavas the way they need to be. Second thing is to get rid of this dangerous and problem-bringing tendency of enjoyment, to give up that sense of pleasure-seeking. And third one is to engage in Nam Bhajan. Generally, for the first one, the Vaishnavas, instead of being in fear of offending the Vaishnavas, it is said that it's better to act positively instead of thinking negatively and being obstructed. Act positively is to think of Vaishnavas positively, to talk about them positively, to do things for them positively. This is all considered Vaishnava Seva. It doesn't have to be any specific gross action only. Vaishnava Seva begins with the thought, to think about them positively, to talk about them positively, and to do things for them positively. By doing this, we can automatically avoid Vaishnava Parada. After that, we heard about different places that Raghav Pandita was showing, Narottama and Srinivasa Acharya, the Janmasthala and different deities, and finally Bhuteshwara Mahadev. Okay, so and this. We will do it next time. Okay, we'll pause here. If you have to say a word or two before we leave.